always see the cracks. She, a young South Asian woman, lied about an emergency. But she forgot this.
I always see the cracks, and now I see yours. Music. The wine glass had 2 sets of fingerprints on it, and Evelyn hadn't been drinking red wine when she left for her emergency work meeting 3 hours ago. Welcome to the channel. I'm Mark Dalton, and on this channel, we believe that every facade, every structure, and every relationship has a foundation, and if you know where to look, you can always find the stress fractures. Today, I'm sharing the story of how I stopped being the oblivious husband and became the investigator of my own life. Before we dive into the evidence, please do me a solid. Smash that like button and subscribe. Your support helps this content reach more people who might be facing their own unsettling truths. Let's get into the details that ruined everything. I stood in our kitchen holding the glass up to the overhead light, watching the smudged prints catch the glare like evidence in a crime scene photo. My wife's lipstick marked the rim in that deep burgundy shade she only wore when she was trying to impress someone. The question was, who? I'm Mark Dalton, 45 years old, and I've spent the last 20 years learning to read the details other people miss. I started as an architect, moved into bespoke carpentry after the corporate world tried to crush my soul. Turns out both jobs teach you the same thing. Everything has a foundation, and if you know where to look, you can always find the cracks. Tonight, the cracks in my marriage were starting to show. Evelyn's gym bag sat by the front door where she dropped it in her rush to leave. She'd claimed another crisis at the marketing agency where she worked. Something about a client emergency that couldn't wait until morning. Funny how these emergencies always seem to coincide with her gym nights and book club meetings. I unzipped the bag, expecting to find her usual workout gear. Instead, I found a crumpled men's t-shirt, size large, reeking of cologne I didn't recognize. Underneath it was a pair of her underwear, but not the practical cotton ones she wore around the house. These were sapphire lace, the expensive kind she'd stopped wearing for me months ago. Dad, you okay? I turned to find Olivia, my 18-year-old daughter, standing in the doorway. She had Evelyn's dark hair, but my skeptical eyes. And right now, those eyes were studying me with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. Fine, kiddo. Just wondering where your mom went. Olivia stepped closer, lowering her voice. Dad, I need to tell you something about Mom. Before she could continue, the doorbell rang. Through the frosted glass, I could see a tall figure shifting nervously on our front porch. I stuffed the evidence back into Evelyn's bag and opened the door. Ryan Kent stood there, all 6 feet of gym-sculpted arrogance, holding Evelyn's tablet case. He worked under Evelyn at the agency, drove a leased Audi he couldn't afford, and had the kind of artificial smile that made me want to check my wallet. Hey, Mark. Evelyn forgot this at the office. She asked me to drop it off. I stepped aside, gesturing him in. Come on in, Ryan. Can I get you a drink? We've got wine. I held up the glass with the 2 sets of fingerprints. Someone already started without us. Ryan's smile faltered. Oh no, I can't stay. I've got to get back to the gym. The gym. I checked my watch. It's almost 10 p.m. dedication. I respect that. I moved closer, invading his personal space just enough to make him uncomfortable. You know, Evelyn's been working out a lot lately too. Really committed to her fitness routine. Yeah, she's very disciplined. I held out my hand. Show me your hand, Ryan. What? Your hand. Show it to me. Ryan hesitated, then slowly opened his right fist. A piece of sapphire lace fabric fell to the floor between us. We both stared at it for a moment that stretched like a held breath. It's not what you think, Ryan started. Dad. Olivia's voice cut through the tension like a blade. She'd been watching from the stairs, and now she descended slowly, her face pale, but determined. I need to tell you something. Mom's been lying to both of us. The next morning, I sat in my truck outside the gym at 6 a.m., watching Evelyn's car in the parking lot. She'd come home after midnight with a story about working late on damage control for a client's social media crisis. I pretended to believe her the same way I pretended not to notice Ryan's cologne lingering in our hallway after he left. Olivia had told me everything the night before, how she'd seen Evelyn and Ryan together at the city park, holding hands like teenagers, how she'd heard hushed phone conversations that stopped whenever she entered a room, how Evelyn had been lying about working late for months. I didn't want to hurt you, Dad, Olivia had said, tears in her eyes. But I couldn't watch her do this to you anymore. Now I was done being the oblivious husband. Time to become the hunter. My first stop was Sam's office at the gym. Sam Peterson had been my friend since college, and now he managed this place. More importantly, he had access to the security system. You sure you want to see this? Sam asked, his fingers hovering over the keyboard in his cramped office behind the front desk. Show me. The black and white footage was grainy, but clear enough. There was Evelyn entering the gym at 7:30 last night, alone. 20 minutes later, Ryan arrived. They met near the sauna area, and after looking around to make sure they were alone, they disappeared inside together. Damn, Mark, I'm sorry, man. I studied the timestamp. 7:30 to 9:15. Almost 2 hours in the sauna while I was home helping Olivia with her college applications and wondering why my wife's work emergencies were becoming so frequent. Can you make me a copy of this? Sam burned the footage to a USB drive without asking questions. Good friends don't ask questions when your world is falling apart. They just hand you the evidence and offer to help you burn it all down. My second stop was the Copper Kettle, a dive bar 3 blocks from Evelyn's office. Rosa had been serving drinks and collecting gossip in this neighborhood for 15 years. If Evelyn and Ryan were stupid enough to be seen together in public, Rosa would know about it. Mark Dalton, Rosa said, polishing a glass as I slid onto a bar stool. Haven't seen you in here for months. Where's that pretty wife of yours? Working late again. Seems to be happening a lot lately. Rosa's expression shifted, and I knew she had information. In my experience, bartenders are like priests. They hear confessions whether people mean to make them or not. Rosa, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be straight with me. She leaned forward, lowering her voice, even though the bar was nearly empty. Your wife was in here 2 weeks ago with that young guy from her office, the one with the fancy car. Ryan, that's him. They were in the back booth, real cozy. She was bragging to him about how she had you wrapped around her finger, said she could make you believe anything. The words hit like a physical blow, but I kept my expression neutral. What else? She was drunk, talking loud. Said something about how you were so trusting you'd never suspect what she was really doing with her evenings. Rosa paused. I'm sorry, Mark. I thought about calling you, but it wasn't my place. I left Rosa a $20 tip and walked back to my truck, my mind racing. Evelyn wasn't just cheating. She was laughing about it, making jokes about how easy it was to fool me. That afternoon, I started tracking her movements. Not with some high-tech spy equipment, just basic detective work. Credit card statements showed charges at restaurants I'd never been to on nights she claimed to be working. Her phone's location history, easily accessible through our shared family plan, showed regular stops at an address I didn't recognize. A quick online search revealed the address belonged to Valerie Moore, one of Evelyn's tennis friends. Valerie lived in a mansion on the expensive side of town, the kind of place where people had too much money and too much time to meddle in other people's business. More importantly, Valerie was known for hosting private parties for her social circle, the kind of parties where married people did things they wouldn't do at home. I called Evelyn from my truck outside Valerie's house, watching the windows for movement. Hey, honey, she answered, her voice artificially bright. What's up? Just wanted to let you know I'll be working late tonight. The Phoenix account is behind schedule. Oh, that's too bad. I might have to work late, too. This client situation is getting worse. Through Valerie's front window, I could see Evelyn pacing in the living room, still talking to me on the phone. She was wearing the black dress she'd claimed was at the dry cleaner. Well, don't wait up for me, I said. I might be really late. Okay, honey. Love you. Love you too. I hung up and settled in to wait. If Evelyn thought she was playing games, it was time to show her what a real player looked like. At 10:30 that night, I watched Ryan's Audi pull into Valerie's circular driveway. He sat in the car for a moment, checking his reflection in the mirror, then walked to the front door like he owned the place. I'd spent the last hour studying the house's layout and security system. Valerie was obsessed with smart home technology, the kind that could be controlled remotely if you knew what you were doing. Lucky for me, Olivia was a computer science student who taught me a few tricks about wireless networks. Through the living room window, I could see Evelyn and Ryan together on Valerie's white leather couch. Evelyn had changed into something more comfortable, a silk robe that left little to the imagination. They were drinking wine from Valerie's expensive crystal glasses, laughing about something that made Evelyn throw her head back in the way she used to laugh with me. I pulled out my phone and accessed Valerie's home security app. The password was embarrassingly simple, Valerie123. And within minutes, I had control of her alarm system. At exactly 11 p.m., I triggered every alarm in the house. The effect was immediate and beautiful. Lights flashed, sirens wailed, and I could see Evelyn and Ryan scrambling around inside like cockroaches when someone turns on the kitchen light. Evelyn was trying to get dressed while Ryan searched for his shoes, both of them panicking. Ryan burst through the front door first, running for his car and his socks. I was waiting for him, leaning against his Audi like I'd been there all evening. Going somewhere, Ryan? He stopped short, his face cycling through confusion, recognition, and terror in the span of 3 seconds. Mark, I can explain. I'm sure you can. But first, let's talk about your taste in underwear. I held up the sapphire lace panties I'd found in Evelyn's gym bag. Ryan's face went pale. You left these at my house last night, careless. Ryan backed toward his car, fumbling for his keys. Look, man, it's not what you think. I stepped closer, and he flinched. Good. Fear was a language everyone understood. Here's what I think, Ryan. I think you're a pathetic little man who gets off on screwing other men's wives. I think you drive a car you can't afford to impress women who are using you. And I think you're about to learn what happens when you mess with the wrong family. I slapped him across the face, not hard enough to do real damage, but hard enough to leave a mark. His head snapped to the side, and when he looked back at me, there was genuine terror in his eyes. Touch my wife again, I said quietly, and you'll be scraping your teeth out of your seat cushions. Ryan scrambled into his Audi and peeled out of the driveway, so fast he sideswiped Valerie's mailbox. I took photos of the damage with my phone, already planning how to use it later. Evelyn appeared in the doorway, clutching her robe closed, her hair disheveled, and her makeup smeared. She looked like exactly what she was, a woman who'd been caught in the act. Mark, what are you doing here? Taking out the trash? I said, not looking at her. You might want to get dressed, unless you plan to drive home in Valerie's bathrobe. I walked back to my truck, leaving her standing there in the doorway. In the rearview mirror, I could see her frantically calling someone on her phone, probably Ryan, trying to figure out how much I knew. The answer was simple. I knew everything, and now it was time to use that knowledge. Evelyn was waiting for me when I got home, sitting at the kitchen table with her hands folded like she was conducting a business meeting. She'd changed into jeans and a sweater, trying to look innocent and domestic. The effect was ruined by the guilt written all over her face. We need to talk, she said. I opened the refrigerator and grabbed a beer, taking my time. Let her sweat. About what? About tonight? About what you think you saw? I sat across from her, studying her face. Evelyn was good at lying. 20 years of marriage had taught me that, but she was rattled. The confident woman who'd been laughing on Valerie's couch was gone, replaced by someone scrambling for control. What I think I saw, Evelyn, is this. I have video footage of you and Ryan in the gym sauna. I have credit card records of dinners you never told me about. I have your location data showing regular visits to Valerie's house on nights you claim to be working. Her face went white. You've been spying on me. I've been paying attention. There's a difference. She tried a different approach, leaning forward with tears in her eyes. Mark, I know how this looks, but you're wrong about Ryan and me. We're just friends. We work together. We talk about office stuff. I reached into my pocket and pulled out her sapphire lace underwear, dropping them on the table between us. Friends don't usually exchange lingerie. The tears stopped. For a moment, I saw the real Evelyn. Cold, calculating, angry at being caught. You went through my things. Ryan dropped them when he came by last night, careless of him. Evelyn stood up, pacing to the window. Okay, fine. Maybe Ryan and I have gotten close, but it's not what you think. I'm not having an affair. Then what would you call it? I call it none of your business. We're adults, Mark. We can have friendships outside our marriage. The gaslighting was impressive. I had to give her credit. Turn the victim into the aggressor. Make me the bad guy for discovering her lies. It might have worked 6 months ago when I still trusted her. You're right, I said, standing up. We are adults, which is why I'm going to treat you like one. I walked to my home office and returned with a manila folder. Inside were printouts of everything. The credit card statements, the location data, screenshots of her lies about working late cross-referenced with her actual whereabouts. This is what an adult conversation looks like, Evelyn. Facts, evidence, truth. I leaned back in my chair. Right now, you're the problem. Are you threatening me? I'm informing you. This stops now, or everyone in your precious social circle gets to see exactly what kind of person you really are. Evelyn's mask finally slipped completely. You bastard. You can't control me. I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to save our marriage. But if you'd rather destroy it for some gym rat with a leased car and delusions of grandeur, that's your choice. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I'm staying at Denise's tonight. Don't wait up. After she left, Olivia came downstairs. She'd been listening from the top of the stairs, and her face was a mix of sadness and relief. Is it over? She asked. Not yet, I said, but it will be soon. The next morning, I put phase 2 of my plan into action. I'd learned a long time ago that the best revenge isn't getting mad. It's getting even systematically and completely. First, I sent an anonymous email to Ryan's HR department, including photos of his damaged car from the night before, along with a fabricated complaint about reckless driving in the company parking lot. Nothing that would get him fired, just enough to put him on their radar. Second, I visited Mrs. Gable, our elderly neighbor, who spent most of her day watching the street through her front window. Mrs. Gable loved gossip almost as much as she loved her garden, and she'd been watching Evelyn's comings and goings with interest for months. I knew something was up, she said, pouring tea in her cluttered living room. That girl's been acting strange all summer. Different cars picking her up, staying out all hours. Different cars? Oh, yes, there's the Audi boy, but also that woman, Denise, with the luxury SUV, and sometimes she just walks to the corner and gets picked up by cars I don't recognize. Mrs. Gable had been keeping an informal log of Evelyn's activities, complete with dates and times. She handed me a notebook filled with her careful handwriting, months of observations that painted a picture of a woman living a double life. I didn't want to interfere, Mrs. Gable said. But I like you, Mark. You fixed my front porch rail last winter and wouldn't take any money for it. A man like that deserves better than a cheating wife. Armed with Mrs. Gable's intelligence, I started mapping Evelyn's network of enablers. Denise, her best friend who loved drama more than oxygen. Kevin, another co-worker who thrived on office gossip. Valerie, the social media maven who documented everything for her Instagram followers. They were all complicit, all helping Evelyn lie to me while pretending to be my friend at neighborhood barbecues and dinner parties. They'd smile to my face while helping my wife destroy our marriage behind my back. It was time to return the favor. Evelyn came home the next evening with Denise in tow, both of them wearing the kind of determined expressions that meant trouble. I was in the garage working on a cabinet project when they cornered me. Mark, we need to talk, Evelyn said. All of us. Denise stepped forward, her confident smile plastered on her face. Mark, Evelyn's told me about your little misunderstanding. I think there's been a communication breakdown here. I sat down my sander and looked at both of them. Misunderstanding about her friendship with Ryan, Denise continued. Evelyn's been helping him with some personal problems. His divorce, his custody battle with his ex-wife. She's been acting as a friend and advisor, nothing more. The lie was so elaborate, I almost admired it. They'd spent the night crafting a story that explained away all the evidence while making me look like a paranoid husband. Personal problems, I repeated. Is that what they're calling it now? Evelyn stepped closer. Mark, I know you're upset, but you're wrong about this. Ryan and I are friends. That's all we've ever been. I pulled out my phone and played the audio recording I'd made the night before. I'd placed a small digital recorder in Evelyn's car before she left for Denise's house, and the two women had spent the entire drive discussing their plan to gaslight me. Evelyn's voice came through the speaker clearly. Mark's getting suspicious, but he doesn't have any real proof. If we stick to the story about Ryan's divorce, he can't prove anything else. Denise's voice followed. What about the underwear Ryan dropped? I'll say Mark planted it. Make him look crazy and controlling. By the time I'm done, everyone will think he's having some kind of midlife crisis breakdown. The color drained from both women's faces as their own words played back to them. You recorded us? Evelyn whispered. I documented a conversation that took place in my car on my property. Perfectly legal. I stopped the recording. Want to hear the part where you discuss cleaning out our joint bank account? Denise backed toward the door. I think I should go. Good idea, I said. But Denise, that recording is backed up in several places. You might want to think carefully before you help Evelyn spread any more lies about my mental health. After Denise left, Evelyn tried a different approach. She moved closer, putting her hand on my arm in the way that used to make me melt. Baby, this is crazy. We're fighting over nothing. Ryan means nothing to me. You're my husband, the father of my daughter. You're the one I love. For a moment, I almost believed her. 20 years of marriage creates deep habits, and part of me wanted to accept her lies and pretend everything could go back to normal. Then I remembered the sound of her laughter in Valerie's living room, the way she bragged to Rosa about having me wrapped around her finger. And the moment passed. If that's true, I said, then you won't mind signing this. I handed her a document I'd prepared that afternoon. It was a post-nuptial agreement stating that if either of us was caught in an extramarital affair, the cheating spouse would forfeit any claim to alimony or shared assets in a divorce. Sign it, and we can work on rebuilding trust. Refuse, and I'll assume you're planning to keep seeing Ryan. Evelyn read the document twice, her face growing paler with each paragraph. This is insane. I'm not signing away my rights because you're having trust issues. Then we have nothing more to discuss. I went back to my sanding, dismissing her. After a few minutes, she left, slamming the garage door hard enough to rattle the windows. Phase 3 began the next morning. I'd spent years building relationships in our community, coaching Olivia's soccer team, volunteering at school events, helping neighbors with home repairs. People knew me as reliable, honest, and level-headed. Evelyn, for all her social climbing, was seen as the flashier, less trustworthy half of our marriage. It was time to leverage that reputation. I started with casual conversations. I mentioned to the lumber yard owner about how Evelyn had been working late a lot lately, and how I was worried about her stress levels. A comment to Olivia's guidance counselor about the tension at home and how it might affect Olivia's college applications. Nothing dramatic or accusatory, just a concerned husband sharing his worries with trusted friends. The beauty of small communities is that information travels fast. By the end of the week, half the neighborhood was talking about the Dalton marriage troubles. The other half was taking sides, and most of them were choosing mine. Evelyn's carefully constructed social image began to crack. Her tennis friends started asking pointed questions about her work emergencies. Her book club members noticed how often she checked her phone during meetings. The parents at Olivia's school events whispered when she walked by. The final blow came from an unexpected source. Valerie, the social media maven who'd been hosting Evelyn and Ryan's secret meetings, made a crucial mistake. She posted a video on her Instagram story showing her wine cellar where Evelyn and Ryan could be clearly seen in the background kissing. The video was only up for 6 hours before Valerie realized her error and deleted it. But 6 hours is an eternity on social media, and screenshots live forever. By Monday morning, the image was circulating through every group chat and social media thread in our community. Evelyn's phone started ringing at 7 a.m. and didn't stop until she finally turned it off at noon. I was in my workshop when she found me. Her face streaked with tears and her voice hoarse from crying. "You did this," she said. "You orchestrated all of this." "I didn't post that video, Evelyn. Valerie did that all by herself." "But you set it up. You manipulated everyone into turning against me." I looked up from the table I was refinishing. I told the truth. "If that turned people against you, maybe you should think about why." "I want a divorce." "Okay." The simple response seemed to deflate her. She'd expected me to fight, to beg, to give her the emotional reaction she could use as ammunition. "That's it. Just okay?" "Evelyn, you made your choice months ago when you started sleeping with Ryan. I've just been waiting for you to be honest about it." She stood there for a long moment, looking lost and small. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Then she straightened up, and I saw the old Evelyn return. Cold, calculating, ready for war. "Fine, but this isn't over, Mark. I'm going to take you for everything you're worth." "We'll see about that." The divorce papers arrived on a Thursday, delivered by a courier who looked apologetic about ruining my morning. Evelyn was asking for half of everything: the house, my business, my retirement accounts, even my tools. Her lawyer had crafted a narrative about emotional misuse and financial control, painting me as a manipulative husband who'd driven her into another man's arms. I read through the documents twice, then called my own attorney. Ethan Cole had handled my business contracts for years, and he knew me well enough to cut through the legal nonsense. "She's going for the nuclear option," Ethan said after reviewing Evelyn's demands. This is designed to pressure you into a settlement. She's hoping you'll give her what she wants rather than fight a long, expensive battle. What are my chances in court with the evidence you've gathered? Pretty good. But Mark, family court is unpredictable. Judges don't like cheating spouses, but they also don't like husbands who spy on their wives. This could go either way. That evening, I sat Olivia down for the hardest conversation of my life. She was 18 now, technically an adult, but she was still my daughter, and this was still destroying her family. I need you to know that whatever happens, this isn't your fault, I said. Your mom and I made our own choices, and you don't have to pick sides. Olivia was quiet for a long moment, staring at her hands. Dad, can I tell you something? Always. I'm glad you're fighting back. I know that sounds terrible, but I've been watching Mom lie to you for months, and it was ending me. She turned our house into a place where nobody could tell the truth. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Because I'm tired of pretending. Mom's been cheating on you since last spring. Not just with Ryan, but with other guys, too. She told me they were work friends, but I knew better. She made me lie for her, Dad. She made me cover for her when you asked where she was. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Not just Ryan, but others. Multiple affairs, multiple lies, all hidden behind the facade of work emergencies and social commitments. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I hoped she'd stop. I thought maybe if I helped her keep the secret, she'd realize what she was risking and come back to us. Olivia started crying. I'm sorry, Dad. I should have told you everything from the beginning. I held my daughter while she cried, feeling the last of my marriage die in that moment. Whatever love I'd still felt for Evelyn evaporated, replaced by a cold determination to end this on my terms. The opportunity came 2 weeks later at the annual charity gala for Olivia's school. It was the social event of the year where everyone in our community gathered to see and be seen while raising money for college scholarships. Evelyn would be there. She'd never miss a chance to network and maintain her image. Ryan would probably be there, too, since his company was one of the event sponsors. All of Evelyn's enablers would be present, dressed in their finest clothes, and ready to support whatever narrative she was spinning about our divorce. It was the perfect stage for a public reckoning. I spent 2 weeks preparing. The plan was simple but devastating. Expose Evelyn's lies in front of everyone who mattered to her using her own words and actions as evidence. No violence, no illegal activities, just the truth delivered at the moment when it would do the most damage to her carefully constructed image. The gala was held at the Crescent Shores Club, a sprawling venue with crystal chandeliers and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water. I arrived alone, wearing my best suit and carrying a small leather portfolio that contained everything I needed. Evelyn was already there, holding court near the bar with Denise and several other women from her social circle. She looked stunning in a black evening gown, playing the role of the wronged wife with Oscar-worthy performance. When she saw me, her expression hardened, but she maintained her composure. Ryan lurked near the silent auction tables, looking uncomfortable in a tuxedo that didn't quite fit. He kept glancing at Evelyn, waiting for some signal about how to behave. I made small talk with other parents and community members, accepting their condolences about my difficult situation and their support for whatever came next. The sympathy was genuine, which made what I was about to do feel like justice rather than revenge. At 9 p.m., the event organizers called for attention. The evening's program included speeches from the school principal, recognition of major donors, and a raffle for various prizes donated by local businesses. I'd made a special arrangement with the event coordinator, offering to donate a weekend getaway package to one of my rental properties. What she didn't know was that I'd also arranged for the winning ticket to be placed in a very specific location. Ladies and gentlemen, the coordinator announced, it's time for our final raffle drawing. The winning ticket for a romantic weekend getaway has been hidden somewhere in this room. The first person to find it wins the prize. People began searching under tables and behind decorations, laughing and enjoying the treasure hunt atmosphere. I watched Evelyn, who was standing near the code area, chatting with friends and ignoring the chaos around her. Perfect. I'd hidden the winning ticket in Evelyn's purse along with a USB drive containing every piece of evidence I'd gathered over the past months. Photos, audio recordings, credit card statements, location data, and screenshots of text messages I'd recovered from our shared cloud storage. Found it, called out Ms. Johnson, the school secretary, holding up the ticket she discovered in Evelyn's open purse. It was right here in this bag. Evelyn looked confused as Ms. Johnson handed her the ticket. I don't understand. I didn't. Congratulations, the coordinator said, taking the microphone. But wait, there's something else in there. Looks like a USB drive. Should we see what's on it? The crowd murmured with curiosity as someone plugged the drive into the venue's presentation system. I'd organized the files carefully, starting with the most damning evidence and building to a crescendo of betrayal. The first image appeared on the large screens around the room. Evelyn and Ryan kissing in Valerie's wine cellar, taken from the infamous Instagram video. Gasps rippled through the crowd. What is this? Evelyn said, her voice rising in panic. The next slide showed credit card statements highlighting charges at romantic restaurants on nights Evelyn had claimed to be working late. Then came the location data showing her regular visits to hotels and private residences during business hours. But the coup de grace was the audio recording I'd made of Evelyn and Denise planning to gaslight me, played through the venue's sound system for everyone to hear. Evelyn's voice echoed through the ballroom. Mark's getting suspicious, but he doesn't have any real proof. If we stick to the story about Ryan's divorce, he can't prove anything else. The room fell silent except for Evelyn's recorded laughter as she described how easy it was to fool her trusting husband. I stepped forward, taking the microphone from the stunned coordinator. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for interrupting your evening, but I thought you should know the truth about my wife's recent behavior. Evelyn has been conducting multiple affairs while lying to me, to our daughter, and to all of you about where she spends her time. Evelyn pushed through the crowd, her face white with shock and rage. You bastard. You planned this. I documented it. You lived it. Ryan tried to slip toward the exit, but several people blocked his path. His face was red with embarrassment and anger. This is harassment. Evelyn screamed. You can't do this to me. Actually, I can. Everything on that drive is legally obtained evidence of your adultery, which you've been committing while asking for half my assets in our divorce. I looked around the room at the shocked faces of our friends and neighbors. I thought the community should know what kind of person they're dealing with. Security guards appeared, but they seemed unsure who to escort out. The event coordinator was frantically trying to regain control of her program. Evelyn made one last desperate play, lunging toward me with her nails extended like claws. You destroyed my life. I caught her wrists easily, holding her at arm's length. You destroyed your own life, Evelyn. I just made sure everyone could see it. Ryan finally found his voice, stepping forward with his chest puffed out. Let go of her, you psycho. Or what, Ryan? You'll fight me over another man's wife? How noble. He swung at me, a clumsy haymaker that telegraphed itself from across the room. I sidestepped easily and used his momentum to send him stumbling into a table full of auction items. Crystal glasses shattered as he crashed to the floor, his rented tuxedo now decorated with wine stains and flower petals. The crowd erupted in chaos. Some people were taking pictures and videos with their phones while others tried to restore order. Evelyn was crying hysterically, her makeup running down her face in black streams. I handed the microphone back to the coordinator and walked toward the exit, stopping only to address the room one final time. The scholarship fund will receive an anonymous donation tomorrow to cover any disruption to tonight's fundraising. And Evelyn, I looked directly at my soon-to-be ex-wife, who was being comforted by the few friends who hadn't abandoned her. I'll see you in court. Olivia was waiting for me in the parking lot. Having watched the whole thing from the back of the room, she hugged me tightly, and I could feel her shaking with a mixture of adrenaline and relief. Is it over? She asked. It's over. We drove home in comfortable silence, leaving behind the wreckage of Evelyn's reputation and the marriage that had died months before I finally buried it. In the rearview mirror, I could see the Crescent Shores Club lit up like a stage, where the final act of our domestic drama had played out exactly as I'd scripted it. Evelyn would recover eventually. She'd find new friends, maybe move to a different town, certainly blame me for everything that happened. Ryan would probably lose his job and definitely lose his lease on that Audi he couldn't afford. But I'd sleep well tonight for the first time in months, knowing that the truth was finally out and the lies were over. The last house on Ashwood Lane was peaceful again. If you've stuck with this story until the end, thanks for listening. Sometimes, finding the cracks is the only way to build a stronger foundation for yourself.